be stressed. I've been doing this for 13 years. I know how to face the second half of the season. Watch me, follow me. Joe?
All right, Aaron, thank you. Well, here with this great scene at Heinz Field on a 54-degree evening. The weather is terrific. On the 13th of November, we get ready for a big game for each side. For the Dallas Cowboys trying to stretch it to an 8-game winning streak, and for the Steelers trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Glad you're with us today on Fox as Whitehead will take a knee. And the opening drive for the Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott will start at the 25-yard line, and all eyes are on number 4, as they have been since the season began, with the injury to Tony Romo. Troy, with Romo knocking on the door to get back and active, not active for this game, Dak Prescott has been sensational.
Yeah, he's probably coming off his best game of the season last week in the win over the Cleveland Browns, which was on the heels of his most shaky performance to date against the Philadelphia Eagles. So this team is playing with a lot of confidence right now, led by the rookie quarterback.
It's going to be Elliott and Ezekiel, who leads the NFL with his 891 yards, picks up 6. Robert Golden on the stop, and you look at where the Cowboys are offensively and realize whether it was DeMarco Murray a couple of years ago, now it's Ezekiel Elliott, this big offensive line opening up huge holes for the Dallas ground game.
That's where it all starts, and that was a great start for this offense on first down carry by Ezekiel Elliott.
Prescott to the sideline, pass is caught by Des Bryant, and Bryant out of bounds right at midfield, a 19-yard completion to number 88.
Well, there's always a clean pocket for Dak Prescott. You see, he's got nobody really in his face, and he's got one-on-one on the outside after the nice run to start off this game, and just a perfectly thrown ball. Good adjustment, back shoulder to Des Bryant. They get him involved in this one early.
Play action. Prescott stays alive. Balls out. Recovered by Pittsburgh. Knocked out by Chickalo. And the Steelers take it away early. Shazier with a recovery.
Well, they're trying to bring Jason Witten across to make the block on Shazier, and he's just not able to get there. But give Dak Prescott credit, he's able to avoid that. But then, not sensing the pressure by Chickalo on his backside, and great effort by the Steelers, and Chickalo in particular, making a play on the ball.
So the Steelers get a takeaway. Pittsburgh checks into this game tied for 18th. They're now even for the year in that turnover battle. And Shazier gets the recovery, and now good starting field position for Big Ben. Over the middle, pass is caught. That's the tight end Jesse James. Good for 8. They have Jesse James, who just made his 25th catch. And they welcome back number 89, Ladarius Green, who's active for the first time as a Steeler, the former Charger, and their big free agent addition to this offense. We'll see him at some point today. And third fumble lost for Dak Prescott, wondering if it will lead to Steeler points. Bell, first down, Pittsburgh to the 26. Well, Ben Roethlisberger is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He had the knee injury against Miami. He missed the New England game, and the last 2 starts have not been good for number 7. Le'Veon Bell on a catch and run with a first down inside the 15. We have a new audience that just joined us. And after a 19-yard completion, Dak Prescott kept the play alive, avoided the sack there, but could not avoid the turnover as Chickalo knocked it out, and Shazier recovered. And this is the first possession for the Steelers inside the red zone. Bell cuts upfield and picks his way down near the 7.
That's a good job along that offensive line. Right guard David DeCastro, he pulls around the wide receivers on the outside, blocking the corners, and it created a huge lane then for Le'Veon Bell. Nice plays here for this Pittsburgh offense that really struggled last week, and that lost to the Baltimore Ravens.
You see the last 3 games, their points per game, the yardage, third down percentage has been bad. Bell at the top of the screen. Pass caught, and immediately Wilcox makes the tackle on David Johnson. Depends on the spot as to whether or not it's a first down, and they've declared it's a first down. First and goal for Pittsburgh, and Mike Tomlin, who now is in his 10th season, stomping the sidelines for Pittsburgh. Good overall record and deadly at home, as is Ben Roethlisberger. 8-1 since the start of last year. Bell, right side. Wilcox again. A gain of 1.5 yards.
We'll see what the Steelers are able to do down inside here, inside the 5-yard line. Now 2nd and goal, but I like the job that offensive coordinator Todd Haley has done mixing things up. They go to the empty set. They pick up a nice gain to Le'Veon Bell. And one thing you don't worry about as much as you do with Dak Prescott, when Ben Roethlisberger goes to the empty set, you're not anticipating quarterback draw.
2nd and goal, and watch for Le'Veon Bell, who split out wide to the left at the bottom. Pass for Bell. A lot of contact, no flag. And it's 3rd and goal. Brandon Carr in coverage.
Yeah, a lot of contact by Brandon Carr on Le'Veon Bell, and these are some of the things that Bell is able to do. They might have ruled that as an uncatchable ball, but Le'Veon Bell, as good as he is as a runner, he presents a dimension within the passing game, as he already has here early in this game, that this defense has to concern themselves with. He splits out again. They like him out running some of the routes that he's able to, much like a wide receiver, is at the top of the screen.
With Wilcox, a safety across from him. Pass caught. Bell, touchdown.
Well, they tried running the slant and go on the previous play. This time they run the slant, and they know they got to match up to their advantage with J.J. Wilcox, the safety, who's in the lineup because of the injury to Barry Church, one-on-one, and that's a nice catch by a running back. A ball high and away, and yet he's able to haul it in, and that shows you some of the abilities that he has as a receiver.
Well, the Steelers are going to go for 2.
Mike Tomlin, he likes going for 2 with this group that he has up front.
Ladarius Green in the offensive formation for the first time. This one for him. Incomplete, and it's 6-0. Byron Jones in coverage. And that 6'6", 240-pound body couldn't get up and bring it down.
Yeah, Ladarius Green, they brought him up, as you said moments ago, and this was where they thought they'd be able to use him, was down here in the red zone. He's a big target. See if he can make a play. And here's what set it all up. Prescott not feeling the pressure by Chickalo, and the Cowboys turn it over and give the Steelers a short field, and they take advantage of it.
It was an 8-play drive after the turnover. 5 touches by Le'Veon Bell, and it was Bell who got his first touchdown reception of the year, showing the good hands. When he's healthy, first of all, he's missed a ton of games, 2 suspensions, a knee injury, so he's missed a lot of time. But when he's healthy, they can split him out like the Rams used to be able to do with Marshall Faulk, like the Bills used to be able to do with Thurman Thomas. I mean, it is a rare skill set what he brings to this offense for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and he has the same skill sets as what Ezekiel Elliott has for the Cowboys. Only he's proven it over a longer period of time. And you know, they're 3 down backs and they can catch the ball. The Cowboys haven't utilized the skills of Elliott like the Steelers have up to this point with Bell, but he's a dynamic player and can run all the routes from that wide receiver position. And he was obviously featured on that opening possession by the Steelers.
It's his first touchdown since October 12th of last year, and the kickoff goes out of bounds.
That's not a great start for
free kick out of bounds. Kicking team number 9.
The Steelers had a tough outing last week in the special teams and get the touchdown and then kick one out of bounds. That's not good for this defense. It has to face this offense now starting at the 40-yard line.
There's Dan Smith. And you look at these two quarterbacks. It's Dak Prescott comparing their first 8 games to what Ben Roethlisberger did back in 2004. And that was not just a good individual start for Ben Roethlisberger. He took his team within a game of the Super Bowl as a rookie. Here's Elliott. Keeps those legs driving, and Ezekiel Elliott gets 3. Chicolo on the stop. And here's what you were talking about with the special teams last week was brutal. The botched onside kick, which we may or may not go into later. I'm sure Chris Boswell hopes we don't. The block punt return for a touchdown. Roughing the punter penalty. Offside penalties on both a punt and a kickoff. 2nd and 7. Elliott again, right side, going to bounce it. And Ezekiel Elliott, that is the beauty of what he can do. He's a 225-pound back that can get to the edge, and he's got a first down.
Well, Robert Golden, he comes up, and what happens is Ezekiel Elliott is so quick to get on the edge. You think you have the angle on him, and you've got him boxed to where he has to take it inside. And I think he surprises defenses. You see it each and every week that the angles that they take allow Elliott to get on the edge because they don't anticipate him with the speed that he has.
Play action. Prescott to the sideline. He's got Bryant, his second catch, and another first down. People are talking about the combination of Dak and Dez. Week 1, 1 catch, 8 yards. Week 2, 7 catches for 102. Got hurt week 3. Missed 3 games. A 100-yard game, including the game-tying touchdown at home against Philly. And then last week, 1 catch for 19 yards. He's got 2 in this game. Zeke. This is just line them up and see if you can stop it. And so far, teams in 2016 can't.
Well, and I give Scott Linehan some credit in the way that he has designed this running game. That time they run Lucky Whitehead, who at times they'll hand him the ball on that jet sweep, and it helps keep the defense from collapsing then on Ezekiel Elliott. They'll also bootleg Dak Prescott to keep those guys honest on the outside, so they make you defend the entire field.
Tyron Smith, one of a couple that moved early.
False start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
They also got movement from the guard right next to Tyron.
Yeah, Ronald Leary, and he was a bit questionable. He left last week's game with a concussion. There was some uncertainty as to whether or not he would be available. Of course, he had been a starter. He then gave up his job to Lyle Collins, who got injured, and he got a chance to play again. And quite honestly, I think this offensive line improved when he got back into the lineup in the way that they've been able to run the football.
Let's go, Doug, me, you.
Second and 9, they hand it off, and there's Elliott. About 1.5 yards short of a first down as Sean Davis, the rookie safety, the 2nd-round pick out of Maryland, was in on the stop.
Well, we talked to Mike Tomlin the other day, and the first thing he said is we've got to stay in our gaps, that they cannot create running lanes for Ezekiel Elliott between the tackles, and that time they did not stay within their gaps. There was a huge hole on that left side, right behind Ronald Leary.
Elliott at the top of the screen and now motions into the backfield. Here he is, first down. Troy, you had it with Emmitt Smith, but even more so for a rookie quarterback like Dak Prescott to be able to just turn around and hand it to fellow rookie Elliott. What a gift for a young guy settling in at this level.
Well, there's no doubt that the running game is a rookie quarterback's best friend. And you mentioned that the job that Ben Roethlisberger did when he was a rookie. He also had that at the time with Jerome Bettis. And that's why he was able to have some of the success he had.
Dak and Dez not on the same page. 2nd and 10.
I just think the element that Prescott gives, there's discussion about, well, they don't have as many big plays in the passing game with Prescott like they had with Romo, and yes, that's true, but he presents an element as a runner that really forces a defense to be honest, and you can't overload too much because he'll keep the ball and run out on the edges, and he's done it throughout the season for some big games.
Second and 10. Pass too high for Witten. Now 3rd and 10 as the Cowboys are inside field goal range for Bailey. They have loftier ambitions than settling for 3.
Well, they worked outside to Jason Witten, and he had an opportunity to his go-to guy, Cole Beasley, in the slot. And the coverage, I'm a little surprised that Prescott didn't work his way, because you see he's one-on-one inside on Lawrence Timmons, and Cole Beasley, I don't know that anybody's been able to cover him this year.
Dunbar out of the backfield in motion. Pass is caught by Williams, and Williams down inside the 20, short of a first down as he gets 5. And the field goal unit comes on for the Cowboys. For those of you just joining us, we've already had a turnover. Dak Prescott with a fumble forced by linebacker Chickalo, recovered by Shazier. And the Steelers went down and scored a touchdown on a throw to Le'Veon Bell. Went for 2, didn't get it. And now the Cowboys have marched it downfield and will try a 37-yarder to cut the lead in half. And Bailey, nobody better in the NFL. It's a 6-3 game in this interconference battle. Cowboys, Steelers on Fox.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys have won 7 straight, their longest streak since a 7-game win streak in 2007. Last time they won 8 within one season was 1977, when they went on to win the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 12. Tony Dorsett's rookie year. A score for Dallas. It's a 6-3 game. And we look back. The strip by Chickalo. The touchdown to Le'Veon Bell. And after a field goal by Bailey, it's a 3-point game in Pittsburgh.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Mid-50s day in Pittsburgh as the Steelers have it for the 2nd time. Quick throw. Brown out on the edge with a block from Eli Rogers. Anthony Brown forced him out, a gain of 5.
You see Antonio Brown, and he's led the league in receptions each of the last 2 seasons and several thousand-yard seasons. And when he came in, they started moving him around in a lot of different positions. And I know Todd Haley feels that defenses have kind of caught up to him, and at least have learned how to defense him from all the positions that he lines up in. Last week, just 2 receptions through 3 quarters. He finished with 7, but try to get him as involved as they can, especially early in these games.
This is against Dallas. This is a free play and a big one to Rogers. Scandrick came across too early. They threw the flag, and Big Ben had a free play, and he found Rogers.
Well, they bring Skandrick off the edge, so in order to cover Eli Rogers, they've got to run Byron Jones over the top, and he gets out of position.
Yardage is enough for a first down.
Roethlisberger, who gets his hand hit as he's following through on that one, but because they get Skandrick and Byron Jones having to work over the top to cover Eli Rogers, who runs an excellent route from that slot position, they really like that young player. And they get a nice gain, and we'll keep an eye on how Roethlisberger's feeling.
So banging his hand after letting that pass go, shaking it out before the next play after a 22-yarder. To Eli Rogers coming off his first 100-yard game. Tight end James down inside the 35 to the 31. 17 yards brought down by Hitchens.
Well, Roethlisberger felt that some of the things in the middle of the field was where they might be able to take advantage of this Cowboys defense, and Jesse James, a young guy who they've got a lot of confidence in. He's kind of finding his way, but makes a nice play on the ball.
Here's Bell, and there's nothing there. Ripped to the ground by DeMarcus Lawrence.
I think the good thing for the Steelers, Joe, is all week long they're saying somebody's got to make a play besides Antonio Brown in the passing game, and we've seen a couple of guys now do that.
Second and 9. Bell in the slot. Another free play.
Taking a shot
to the end zone, incomplete. Kobe Hamilton the target, but Ben drew the Cowboys offside.
Well, you just knew with a veteran quarterback, as soon as he knew he had the yellow flag, he was going to take a shot. He had a free play and give your guy a chance.
Defense, number 75 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Will replay. Second down.
It's against the young defensive lineman Ryan Davis. It'll make it 2nd and 4.
50-50. Lean. Yeah, lean. Hey, these two. Lean.
Dad!
Blunt man.
Blue 80! Blue 80!
2nd and 4, Bell. First down and more. To the 9.
Le'Veon Bell, you're going to see him here, and the patience that he shows before he cuts it back. He gets in the hole, it's not there, then he sees it right there behind DeCastro, and he takes it and shows his burst and quickness. This guy's he's a heck of a player, and he's not just strictly a downhill guy. He's physical enough, he can get on the edges, but man, once he sees a hole, he's as quick as anybody in the league and getting through it.
16-yard carry, 1st and goal. Again, hesitating, picking his way to the 1. And there was nothing there at the start of that play. That's all Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, a lot of patience and a lot of quickness, and looked a little bit like Barry Sanders there, and they go to the hurry up, no huddle here on 2nd down.
Bell, Jones. And it brings up 3rd down and goal. So a big play as Bell was stuffed by the young safety Byron Jones. Loss of 2.
Loss of 2. 30 goal from the 3.
Bell in the slot. Low snap. Roethlisberger. Pass is caught for the touchdown, Eli Rogers. And let's make sure this ball wasn't trapped.
Boy, it's close, isn't it? It looked like a touch, but it looked like he also had control of it. This is not a great throw by Roethlisberger, but Jeff Heath, who's driving on it from the inside out, I think he's the one who maybe spooked Ben, and he didn't want to lead him and make a easier catch for him, but Eli Rogers. That's going to be close as to what these officials decide. Taking a look at it, I couldn't tell that the ball really moved much, if at all, when it hit the ground.
That last look looked like the ball may have moved just a little bit. I'm with you on the first look. It looked like a good catch. But remember, this was a 3rd and goal. And they have confirmed the score. And again, the Steelers are going to go for 2.
Well, they went for 2 the first time. Now the chart would tell them to go for 2, but they went for it the first time. I'm okay with this one too.
Roethlisberger was looking for Brown, and now back in the end zone, not there. Jesse James the target, and Antonio Brown was the initial look. It's a 12-3 game on America's Game of the Week here in Pittsburgh.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan. Innovation that excites. By Verizon. Join a better network because better matters. And by Burger King. Now get 3 large pancakes for only 89 cents. Only at Burger King.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger has started out red hot. 8 for 9, 2 touchdowns. Went 4 for 4 on that last drive and completed a ball to Eli Rogers for the score. It's a 9-point game. And the drive for Dallas, and Dak will start at the 25, down 12-3. A little then and now. The fans at Three Rivers, the fans at Heinz Field, and down by 9 starting at the 25. Here's Dallas, and there's Tyron Smith.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's 2 false starts against the Cowboys already.
Yeah, a little shaky. You get in here on the road and hostile environment with this Pittsburgh crowd, and this isn't a defense that you want to be starting off 1st and 15.
It's the 4th pre-snap penalty called on Dallas. 2 on offense, 2 on defense. 1st and 15.
94. Monday. Who's the mic? 50, Doug. 50.
Blitz. Handoff to Elliott. Penalty flag flies. Was Zach Martin rolling around on the ground, and we'll get the call from Blakeman.
Holding. Offense, number 70. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
And it's against Zach Martin.
Well, it looked initially like Zach Martin did a heck of a job there at the right guard position, and Ryan Shazier, he's coming on the run blitz, and it looked like he picked him up clean, and if there was just enough there. I didn't really see as much of a hold as Shazier trying to come off the block and make a play, but the Steelers are loading up for the run. A lot of one-on-one looks on the outside on those early downs. Of course, right now with 1st and 25, Steelers are going to play coverage.
Is underneath to Beasley, and that's his first. They get a little bit of the yardage back as we're coming up on half a minute left in the opening quarter, and Artie Burns, the rookie, the 1st-round pick out of Miami, is down. His 2nd NFL start, coming off his 1st interception in Baltimore. And that will stop the clock with 33 seconds left. Opening quarter. Injury for the rookie. They look at Burns on the sideline as the Cowboys have 2nd and 18. Setting up a screen for Elliott with blocking. Huge play. Elliott into Steeler territory. Down the sideline. And in for the touchdown. No flags. Yards for the rookie combination of Prescott to Elliott.
Well, they run that jet sweep look again with Lucky Whitehead around the left end, and then they come off of that with the screen to Ezekiel Elliott. And you can see these offensive linemen, as big and as massive as they are, how well they run. Travis Frederick, he's out in front, the kick out on the edge, and then once Ezekiel Elliott gets out on the corner, there's just no catching him. This guy's a heck of a sprinter. Big play, 2nd and 18, giving up not only the first down, but 6 points.
Former track star in high school, and he showed his speed as a 225-pound back, and that's the first touchdown reception for number 21. And the Cowboys have their season-long play of 83 yards.
Well, I mean, you talked about it earlier as far as a run game for a rookie quarterback. I mean, how about when you come out backed up, 2nd and 18, and you're able to throw a screen pass to Ezekiel Elliott, and he goes the distance.
You mentioned him a moment ago, and I'll say it again. Scott Linehan is one of the most overlooked assistant coaches across the entire NFL. Linehan has done such a good job, did with Romo a couple of years ago, and now molding these two rookies into what they've become. There's Scott with Prescott at quarterback, and obviously Elliott at running back, and he has been creative. Everybody in the world knows Elliott's going to get the football, but they have yet to really find an answer for when 21's got it in his hands.
Yeah, and I think what Linehan has done such a good job of is obviously Prescott's a different kind of quarterback than Romo is, but yet they've put some things in that he was comfortable doing there at Mississippi State. Some of the run game, some of the read option, some of the spread sets. They've married it with their own run game, and obviously it's been very effective.
He's been a coordinator in Minnesota, a head coach in St. Louis, a coordinator in Detroit, and now in charge of the offense in Dallas. And with 7 seconds left in the first quarter in what has been eventful, we'll tell you that tomorrow night, National Geographic invites you to go to Mars, join humankind's greatest adventure, and find out how we made Mars home. The new series Mars premieres tomorrow night, only on National Geographic. So an 83-yard touchdown pass on the day's statistics for Dak Prescott. You saw the eyes of Sean Lee, who grew up about 20 minutes away. Played on this field while in high school. Quick throw, ball is out, pass incomplete. Xavier Grimble, with 3 seconds left, did not secure the catch. Incomplete.
Yeah, this is one of those things that these officials are looking at. When it's bang bang like that, they're going to rule that it's incomplete. A good call there. And right now, Roethlisberger, we've seen him spread this Cowboys offense or defense out, and they're shorthanded with some injuries to Mo Claiborne and then, of course, Barry Church, and trying to take advantage of some of those matchups, and they've been able to do that here in this first half.
2nd and 10, quick throw, and Brown somehow wrestles the ball away from Brandon Carr. It'll be 3rd down when we come back for the Steelers. On the road, how will the young kids, Dak and Elliott, respond? Well, they've made it now a 2-point game. What a catch by Brown. To the second quarter we go. We start the second quarter, 3rd down and 1.
Hey, Thunder! No, check, Thunder! Shut!
Tossed to Bell, running right. Well played by Dallas, ball's out. And out of bounds, where it will stay with Pittsburgh. But it's 4th down. The first guy there was Scandrick.
It was a great play by Orlando Scandrick on 3rd and short, playing through the blocker. Here he is right here on the slot.
It was a fumble that was not recovered prior to going out of bounds. Therefore, it's Pittsburgh ball at the out of bounds spot. Brings up 4th down.
He goes right underneath. Like a head first dive in baseball. Goes right underneath Jesse James and makes a play. And wow, the Cowboys almost give the ball to their offense with a short field. A golden opportunity there by Byron Jones, just unable to secure it. Great play by Scandrick.
And now the punt. Not a good punt. Takes a bounce. Lucky Whitehead on the return, makes a man miss, and then takes it to the 40.
Whitehead
Let's go back to that second down catch by Antonio Brown and watch the end of it. First of all, great catch as he held on, came down awkwardly, got his face mask yanked on. That wasn't called, and then Brown was getting his side check. The guy who came into this game with at least 75 more catches than anybody else across the NFL over the last 3.5 years. Brandon Carr got away with that face mask.
I remember a time when 100 receptions in a season was a lot of catches, and last year alone Antonio Brown had 136.
First down Dallas at the 40 as Alfred Morris comes in and gets it. Two-time Pro Bowl running back, formerly with Washington, carries it for 2. And Pittsburgh injuries to talk about with Aaron.
Let's talk about first cornerback Artie Burns, who's tried on several knee braces, still trying to run around and loosen that knee up. Also, Shamarko Thomas, strong safety, he's been being attended to by the training staff. And also, guys, Cam Hayward was over on the sidelines for a little bit having his shoulder checked out. He kept telling the training staff he was fine, and he ran back out there.
Well, they need him. Prescott is protected, and here's Bryant. Flag on the play, and Bryant with a catch at the 42.
William Gay's trying to signal that the penalty's on Dez Bryant. There was contact. It was hard to tell exactly. Good route by Dez Bryant. Starts to the post. He comes back out of it. I think they're going to get Dez with that right arm that got extended.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, defense, number 22. Penalties decline. Yardage gained is enough for a first down.
Yeah, it looked like that call could go either way. In the end, the completion stands for 16 yards to Bryant.
We'll take another look at it and see what happened exactly. I saw the right arm come out by Dez Bryant at the top of that route. I know last week and really throughout the season when Bryant has played, he's felt like he has not gotten a lot of the calls that he deserves. I don't know if he got away with one there or not.
Flags on the play as Alfred Morris takes it to the 40. This happened, the penalty along the line of scrimmage just before the snap, and it's against Pittsburgh.
Offside. Defense, number 97, in the neutral zone at the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's Cam Hayward, who missed a couple of games with a bad hamstring. Let's go back to that catch by Dez Bryant.
Let's take another look at it on the top of the screen, and I don't know. I didn't see much there by William Gay. I think Dez Bryant got away with a push off of his own.
First down and 5, and Morris will pick up a couple over the left side. The flag comes down at the end of it.
Holding. Offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
They get dug free. The right tackle with a hold. Jeff Swaim, the backup tight end, came away from that last play with his shoulder hanging.
Dug free, the right tackle, and yeah, I'd say that's beyond a hold. It's a takedown.
That's 4 penalties now on the Cowboys offensive line. Prescott underneath to Morris, and the tackle immediately made by Jarvis Jones, a gain of 6.
That was one of the few times you see that Prescott gets pressure in his face. I think, one of the things that has really been good for him, in addition to having Ezekiel Elliott, is that the offensive line has really protected him in the middle and not given up much pressure and allowed him to throw with a pretty clean look.
So what Dak and Elliott just accomplished, Ezekiel Elliott with the longest touchdown reception by a Cowboys running back since the great Herschel Walker, former teammate of Troy Aikman. Here is Alfred Morris, Jones on the stop. Third down coming up as Morris picks up 6.
Well, what a nice luxury the Cowboys have when they're able to bring in their backup running back and a guy with the credentials of Alfred Morris, who of course was a starter as a rookie himself when he was drafted by the Washington Redskins. And last week they were able to utilize him a little bit more in the way that they won against Cleveland. He had the most work that he's had all season.
This could be on the edge of 2-down territory for Dallas.
Who's down?
3rd and 3.
Who's the 5th one? Out here.
No flag. Pass is dropped by Beasley, and now it's either a long field goal try, and that's the immediate call by Jason Garrett, or go for it on 4th and 3, and Bailey will come on and attempt the field goal, which will be a 53-yard try.
Well within Dan Bailey's range, and a missed opportunity. Cole Beasley, who had a chance, he's just trying to really avoid the tackler and pick up the first down, but didn't secure the catch first.
This for the lead. Man, he's good. Now 24 of 32 for Dan Bailey from 50 and beyond, and the Cowboys have their first lead of the night.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. More 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. By Papa John's, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL. And by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
That have met 3 times in Super Bowls past. Super Bowl 10, 13, and 30. Steelers won the first 2. 2 of their 4 in the 70s, and Super Bowl 30 went the way of the Cowboys. Larry Brown, the MVP, with his 2 interceptions. And now down by a point, the Steelers, who have gone for a 2-point conversion twice already, will start at their 25. It's really something that Mike Tomlin did more of last year. Steelers led the NFL with 8 successful 2-point conversions in 11 attempts. Both figures were highs across the NFL. All 11 were passes, by the way, last year. Just 2 for 2 this year, but obviously wanting to make a statement here early, Tomlin went for it.
Yeah, when they moved back the extra point attempts, the point after that, he told us early in the season he was going to be going for 2 often. He did a year ago, not as much this year. Hadn't worked for him in this game.
0 for 2. Here's Brown. The knee went down. It looks like inches short of a first down for Antonio.
Well, that's just another way to get the ball into Antonio Brown's hands, and their version of the wide receiver screen. An awfully good player and a guy who draws a lot of attention wherever he is.
5-6.
Steelers like to go up tempo. That's what they're doing here. And a catch by Brown for the first down. It wasn't until last week, as Jason Garrett meets Antonio Brown, that the Steelers really kicked it in offensively. So they went to that no huddle hurry up in that loss at the Baltimore Ravens. They were a little bit close to the vest early with Big Ben in his first start off the knee surgery.
Yeah, and they're going to pretty much a no huddle here. It's a more of a controlled version, but I really thought we'd see more of the hurry up early in this game off of the success that they had last week.
Hand off to Bell. Shows that patience again, and Le'Veon Bell has a first down as he gets 11.
It's really pretty incredible when you watch him run. There's guys who try to run with that style, but it's difficult. I mentioned Barry Sanders earlier, the jump cut there, and typically when you start throttling it down in the hole, you get caught, and it's hard to pick up yards, but he's so explosive and quick that he's able to do that, show great patience, and still pick up big gains.
Offensive coordinator Todd Haley calls him a picker.
56.
Gets up to that line, picks where he wants to go.
Easy. Alert, 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 alert. We gotta go, Pounce.
Yeah.
Son.
Bell's been impressive. So's Ben. That ball gets out, and that's Ben Roethlisberger taking a hit, and a flag comes in. Cedric Thornton laid the hit on Roethlisberger. That's when they threw the flag. We'll see who gets the penalty, and Ben is down on his back. There's nobody tougher in the NFL than number 7.
There's no intentional grounding on the play because the quarterback was out of the pocket. We have a personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 56, with a blow to the head of the quarterback. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
They get Justin Durant. It was Thornton from the backside. That was a clean hit. And then the arm of the linebacker Durant came up and hit Roethlisberger in the helmet. Right there.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that call. He's outside the pocket and he's then a runner, but I would think you'd have to be in a quarterback position, a passing position, then to draw quarterback protection, but that's a costly penalty on the Cowboys.
Mike Pereira joins us from Los Angeles. Mike, what did you see back there on that call?
I think that you have to have roughing the passer there, because even though you might be trying to knock the ball down, you're going to get a hit to the helmet with the forearm, which the rule says if the quarterback, he is defenseless when it comes to hits to the head. And he gets a shoulder right directly to the face mask. I think that's a foul that has to be called.
It's the hard piece of it for any defense taking on Ben Roethlisberger. So hard to bring down. He kept that play alive twice. And the 15-yard penalty is tacked on the end of it as Landry Jones takes over just for one play, and Roethlisberger will come back. And you hear the reaction. They had to look at Roethlisberger, and that's why he had to come out.
Well, and you said it moments ago, Joe, he's as tough as there is. And when he came back, he proved it long before this year, too. But when he came back 20 days after having had knee surgery last week, I mean, he showed everybody that if there's any chance he can play, he's going to do it. No one's surprised. No one's surprised he's coming back out now.
Hey, turbo, turbo! Son.
2nd and 10. And it looked like somebody in the offensive line jumped too early.
False start. Offense, number 56. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Aaron Andrews, you spent some time with Ben before this weekend's game. What'd you learn from number 7?
Yeah, they made the decision for him to come back. He said at the very last minute, he went through warm-ups and he told me he had no idea what to expect from his knee. He said, practice is one thing, but then when you're out there in real life getting hit, trying to scramble, he said it didn't feel too great when I was running around, but he said adrenaline is a beautiful thing, guys.
Yeah.
He's doing his typical act back there. Doesn't go down easily. Slides, breaks tackles, and looks downfield. And now the Steelers are going to get the 5 yards back.
Encroachment. Defense number 97. It's a 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
It's on Terrell McClain.
We've seen Roethlisberger here at home. He's been able to work the snap count and get the Cowboys now a few times. And it was interesting, coming off of Aaron's report there, that Roethlisberger, he's only scrambled or only kept the ball 7 times this year. And surprisingly, 3 of those runs came last week after his return from the knee surgery.
Quick throw to Brown. Quick tackle made by the young corner Anthony Brown. And the rookie, who is not playing like a 6th-round pick out of Purdue, makes the stop after a gain of 1.
Yeah, that's what you got to do too. When you see that screen to the wide receiver, you got to drive on it before he's able to catch the ball and have some space between you. And Anthony Brown, he's had a heck of a rookie year. A guy drafted, as you said, in the 6th round, not expected to play as much as he has, but Orlando Scandrick was coming off the knee surgery. He had some hamstring issues, missed some time, and Anthony Brown's gotten to play quite a bit.
3rd down and 9. Cowboys back out of the blitz, and Roethlisberger finds his man. His favorite target, Antonio Brown, for a 1st down at the 25.
Well, Antonio Brown, they're playing man coverage with a safety giving help, and so there's going to be a trail technique on the corner, but yet with Roethlisberger able to buy time, moving up in the pocket, Anthony Brown was in coverage, and just a good move then by the veteran wide receiver, creating some separation.
This defense for Dallas dealing with Antonio Brown, who's 6 for 6. With targets and catches without Barry Church, out with a broken forearm, without Morris Claiborne, out with the groin injury. On 1st down, down the middle, pass incomplete. And that's the new tight end, Ladarius Green.
We've gone to Ladarius Green now a couple times down here. They tried getting the ball to him on the 2-point conversion, and that's where they wanted to use him because of his size. He's a big target, and felt that they could maybe work him down the middle, and I think that ball caught him by surprise. It was on him in a hurry.
Todd Haley said it's been impressive how up to date in the offense Green is after coming off the physically unable to perform list with an ankle surgery, an ankle injury. He steps right in. Here's Bell. Well played. And that's Sean Lee, the linebacker who grew up a die-hard Steeler fan. And number 50 for the Dallas Cowboys was a young man who lived and died with the Steelers' fortunes. Who's that, Brister? I know he had a Jerome Bettis jersey during his high school years when he was a running back.
Number 6, Bubby Brister. He didn't say anything about having Brister's jersey.
That's him now.
Upper St. Clair lost on this field to Central Catholic back in 03. Here's the tight end. Wilcox makes the hit as Xavier Grimble gets 5. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, it's a good stop by this Cowboys defense. They gave up some yards, and now they're going to give up a field goal attempt. But it's been a defense that's really kind of been a bend but don't break. They don't give up a lot of big plays, and they were forced there with a 3rd and long, and they make a key stop.
David Johnson late getting into the formation. 39-yard try for Chris Boswell. To put the Steelers back on top. Good 1st half. And at times another painful half of football for number 7, who has his Steelers up 2. There's the drive. 10 plays, 54 yards, and almost 6.5 minutes off the clock. And that's one of the keys to trying to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Keep the ball and keep that Cowboys offense off the field. And down by 2. The drive will start at the 25. Missed it by that much. David Irving came so close to that try by Boswell, but it was good. The Steelers are up 2.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's.
It's been a little while since we've seen Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Last time we saw him an 83-yard touchdown when Elliott was on the field, in a series from Morris, and now a catch and a slide down by Cole Beasley. A gain of 8.
Well, you look at this 1st half and what's unfolded, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are controlling the time of possession. Some of that has to do, of course, with the turnover by the Cowboys, but this is an offense that leads the league in time of possession, over 33 minutes. So, as you said, the Steelers offensively, by being able to drive the ball, yeah, they got stopped and they had to settle for the field goal, but they've kept this offense for the Cowboys on the sidelines and have allowed their own defense to get rested up.
Elliott lowers his head and runs into a wall. No gain. Tuesday night, college basketball action returns to FS1 with a Big Ten Big East showdown at the Gavitt tip-off game starting as Maryland takes on Georgetown. Then Nigel Hayes and Wisconsin collide with Maurice Watson Jr. in Creighton. The excitement begins Tuesday, 6:30 Eastern on FS1, 3rd and 2. Downfield for Bryant, incomplete. And on 3rd and 2, Dak Prescott went for a big chunk and couldn't connect.
Yeah, the Steelers, they rush 5 and they're one-on-one all the way around. And so they've got Des Bryant, who's in the slot, and they've got a chance at him. Good coverage overall by William Gay, and they're trying to throw it on that back shoulder, and it just gets out away from him a little too much. He also had a chance if he decided to lay it up and give him a chance for the home run.
First Cowboys 3 and out. Here is a beautiful punt that drives Brown out of bounds. They're going to mark him at the 18. 49-yard punt, no return. Steelers have it and a 2-point lead. That is a supermoon. Crystal clear in the sky. We play here in Pittsburgh. America's game of the week and a good one. 2-point game. Low snap. And there's a reason for the low snap as Bell is out of bounds. We haven't talked about Marquise Pouncey and his recuperative skills. A dislocated right thumb, underwent surgery at the beginning of the week. And on his right hand, he's got stitches and still is back days later to take on Dallas.
Pretty incredible there on his snapping hand, and he told Todd Haley early in the week, you know, you can count on me being ready, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, he's the real deal, and he's a great player and a great leader for this offense.
Bell got a yard. 2nd and 9. Passes caught. Rogers. First down. Covered by Skandrick.
Oh, good route by Eli Rogers as he puts the move and then takes the middle, and Skandrick is able to make the tackle after the catch. But outside of Antonio Brown, Eli Rogers really the only wide receiver who's made a dent here in this ball game, but he's made a couple nice plays.
Had a broken foot last year, was on IR. They like him. Somebody to take some of the load off Antonio Brown. Here's Bell out of the backfield. Plenty of room and a first down for Le'Veon Bell. And we're at the 2-minute warning. Steelers with a first down and on the move as they lead by 2. Follow your favorite all season long, your favorite team. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. As the Steelers come up to the line with a first down, 2 minutes left and a 2-point game. Bell in the slot. Pass caught. Rogers. Skandrick on the tackle. And a gain of 4.
Such a weapon when you're able to spread out a defense. The Cowboys, you know, giving help to Antonio Brown. They give some of those coverage looks, and to be able to work Le'Veon Bell and now Eli Rogers in the middle. Those are good matchups for the Steelers.
Pass is caught for a first down. Brown to the 40.
A really nice job by Antonio Brown, just recognizing the zone and giving his quarterback a good spot to go with the football. He just sits it right down in the hole, and Roethlisberger puts it right on him.
Home run ball toward the end zone. Incomplete for Sammy Coates. No flag. Anthony Brown was down there defending.
Coates, he takes the inside release, and then Roethlisberger trying to take him back out. There's the hand on the shoulder. Was it enough? contact with the right arm. I think the Cowboys and Anthony Brown got away with one, and Roethlisberger would agree.
Is that Monday?
Extra defensive back Leon McFadden comes in for Dallas. Bell in the slot again, 2nd and 10. Little pump fake. And this one is nearly picked by Brandon Carr.
I don't think Antonio Brown expected Roethlisberger to throw it because Brandon Carr was upfield. He never bid on the move, and he was on his upfield shoulder, and as Brown came off the ball, you see Ben recognized that Brown wasn't going at full speed. He thought maybe he'd have a chance and catch Carr, but just a miscommunication between Brown and Roethlisberger.
First time that's happened. Roethlisberger's targeted Antonio Brown 8 times, 7 catches. 3rd and 10.
Come on, man. Stay with it, yeah.
4-man rush. Roethlisberger. Protection breaks down. Pass caught. Bell got a long way to go, and he's not going forward. That'll bring up 4th down. And we'll get a timeout now taken by Dallas. Their first with 52 seconds left.
Well, there was plenty of time at least to get the ball out for Roethlisberger, but there was just nowhere to go with the football, and as he held it, then the Cowboys are finally able to get home. So Cowboys have not yet had a sack in this game, but at various times they've gotten a little bit of pressure, but for the most part Roethlisberger has had time. But give that defensive secondary some credit, making a stop on 3rd and long.
Now Cole Beasley is back for Dallas. It's 4th down. And Jordan Berry out to punt. End over end. Not very deep, and hauled in at the 16 by Beasley. 45 seconds left, opening half. Dallas a chance to make some noise with 2 timeouts.
My whole entire life I've grown and just been fascinated by the military, whether it's jets, tanks, infantry units. I've always been really intrigued by that. I've been honoring and admiring and thanking service members for what they do.
The 28-year-old Alejandro Villanueva. He has served his country 3 tours of duty in Afghanistan, graduated from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, an Army captain, served as an Army Ranger, and awarded the Bronze Star for valor for rescuing wounded soldiers while under enemy fire. Starting left tackle for Ben Roethlisberger. And on this Veterans Day weekend, a tip of the cap and a heartfelt thank you to people like Alejandro Villanueva and those in the armed services for what they do every day as Prescott is protected. Pass is dropped, knocked out, incomplete. Beasley couldn't make the grab, and William Gay forced it out of his hands.
That's a couple times now that Beasley's had some opportunities and just unable to keep control of the football. William Gay, of course, makes a nice play here, knocking it loose. But I think right now we're seeing what the Cowboys think of Dak Prescott and his development here in his rookie year. I mean, backed up on the 16-yard line against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, and they got 2 timeouts, but most coaches with a young guy like this would play it a little more conservatively. They come out and throw it on 1st down.
Witten doesn't have a catch yet. Prescott out to his right, and this one is behind Dunbar. Now it's 3rd and 10.
That's 3rd and 10, and now we'll see what Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan decide to do. And Pittsburgh Steelers have 3 timeouts. They're going to get a chance to get the ball back if they make a key stop here and have time left on the clock to come away with some points. Got to be real careful if you're Prescott and they decide to throw it. A punt is okay. Sometimes you get a mentality as a young guy that 3rd and 10, you want to try to drive the ball 10 yards to pick up the first, keep the drive going, and against a defense like this, you better be careful.
Blitz off the edge. Prescott steps up, and it's broken up. Beasley with Cockrell. A right hand to knock away that pass. 4th down.
Well, it's a good stop. So the Cowboys come out, 3 consecutive passes. The clock stops. Nice play there by Cockrell. I see what Prescott saw. He sees Cockrell carrying the receiver on the outside up the field. He comes off of it, makes a heck of a play on the ball, and we'll see if the Steelers are able to take advantage.
Brown waiting for the punt from Jones. Good high hanging punt. And Brown with a fair catch. They'll mark him at the 36. And here's what's coming up at halftime. Kurt.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, the Minnesota Vikings disappoint with their 4th straight loss. The Eagles defense dominates as they soar past the Falcons, and Tennessee upsets Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We've got all that and more, so we'll see you back here at the Visa halftime.
Look forward to that. Now with 20 seconds left, all 3 timeouts. We'll see how the Steelers want to play it. And they start with Roethlisberger in the shotgun.
Yeah, I know how they're going to play it with Roethlisberger. 20 seconds, in 3 timeouts, a lot of time.
Looking to throw fast. Instead, he finds Bell. Room to run and out of bounds with a first down. And the Steelers are in business at their own 49.
Pretty heads-up job there by Le'Veon Bell. Once he catches the ball, he's able to make somebody miss. He heads, to get as much as he can and then get out of bounds. Didn't necessarily have to because of the timeouts, but he didn't want to be running around, dancing around, and burn off too much time off that clock.
13-yard catch and run.
Hurry up, hurry up. Go. Tight. Go. Yeah, tight. Yeah. Hey, you, money. Yeah.
Pass is caught. Just short of a first down, and a timeout taken as Ladarius Green made the catch with Byron Jones all over him. 8 seconds left in the half. Some of the early game headlines and headliners. Mariota and DeMarco Murray. They just took apart the Green Bay Packers. The Eagles with a big win over the Atlanta Falcons. And the Chiefs in a stunner over Carolina, which you see the highlights of that. The Chiefs have won 5 straight as they get their primary quarterback back, Alex Smith. And now 2nd down and 1, 8 seconds. This has got to be something quick.
Yeah, it's got to come out quick. They can work the middle of the field, but Roethlisberger can't be holding the ball long. And if someone catches it, and they've got room to run, they've got to know they've only got 8 seconds. They're going to have to get on the ground and call timeout.
Pass is caught, and now the ball comes out. Flag is thrown. Eli Rogers with the catch. The ball came out when he came down, and there's a lot to look at here. Skandrick in coverage. 2 seconds left. They're calling it a catch. Here's the call.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 32. Penalties declined. Yardage gained is enough for a first down.
Well, let's look now. See, that, to me, he's going to the ground as part of the catch, and it's a big deal because if this is called incomplete, it's only a 5-yard penalty.
Well, that should be an incomplete pass. There's a lot of Cowboy fans watching this, knowing what happened a couple years ago in Green Bay.
There's the penalty on the hold on Skandrick. But with 2 seconds left now, if this is just a 5-yard penalty instead of a complete pass, play gain 23 yards as it stands. It would then turn into a 55-yard or so field goal for Boswell. But he's in the air, comes down, going to the ground, ball comes out. I mean, we've been told that's incomplete.
Well, that looks pretty easy for me to determine that it's incomplete. This shouldn't take long.
If this then goes back to a 5-yard penalty, you're looking at a field goal try of over 50 yards, and realize that the 53-yarder by Dan Bailey earlier in the half is the longest field goal made in the history of this stadium in an NFL game. So Boswell will if this is overturned, and we think the catch will be overturned, we'll have a field goal try of 50+ yards to attempt to add to what is a 2-point lead. This is a notoriously tough stadium in which to kick field goals with the wind currents that come through here. And we wait for the call from Clete Blakeman. And here comes the call from Clete Blakeman. Then they'll have to figure out where the ball goes. And that could be the reason why this review has taken as long as it has.
After review of the play, the receiver was going to the ground in the process of catching the ball, lost control. It is an incomplete pass. However, during the play, prior to the pass, we had a holding on the defense, number 32. That'll be penalized 5 yards from the previous spot with an automatic first down.
But only 2 seconds left. And Boswell now will have a long field goal try in what is at the moment a 2-point game. It'll be a 55-yard try, which would be a career long for Boswell and the longest in an NFL game in the history of the stadium. Boswell 0 for 1 from 50+ this season. Snap, good hold. The field goal is no good. Had the length, but wide to the right. And it's a 2-point game on America's Game of the Week and a good half of football. Steelers and Cowboys, good matchup coming in. Should be a fun second half. Kurt Menefee take it away in LA. Visa halftime coming up right now. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. That was today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. That early turnover on the fumble by Dak Prescott. The only turnover of that first half, and I don't really know, Troy, how to characterize the first half. I mean, it's close. It's a 2-point game, a lot of penalties, and really save for a couple of big plays, especially the big one to Ezekiel Elliott. No real highlights in that first half.
No, you know, like you said, outside of the Ezekiel Elliott screen pass for the touchdown, 83 yards, you know, not many big plays. Cowboys have had a hard time sustaining drives. They converted their first one and missed out on some 3rd and shorts, and so they've not been able to play their game that they've been playing all season long. And the Steelers have been able to pile up some yards and do some things that we haven't seen from them in recent weeks. But, you know, of course, Tomlin deciding to go for 2, that's, you know, a couple points that they've not been able to get, but the strengths first half there for both teams.
Steelers will start the second half with the football at their own 25, and we'll take you down to Aaron Andrews.
Well, you just mentioned that 83-yard touchdown by Ezekiel Elliott, and that was the one thing Mike Tomlin wanted to talk to me about. He said, you know, his defense has done a good job with the tackling and the pressure. But the one thing that he really touched upon with his team was that touchdown. He said, we can't allow these explosive plays to happen, especially when we know it's going to happen. I did ask both of these coaches, guys, what this game is going to come down to. Mike Tomlin telling me, we can't punt, they have to punt. Jason Garrett telling me, we've got to clean up these penalties.
Yeah, it was a lot of penalties in that first half. 8 of them for Dallas for 60 yards. That was a problem for Pittsburgh last week at Baltimore. Here's one going for a deep ball to Hamilton, and he's got it at the 35. And right out of the gate, the Steelers air it out and complete one to Kobe Hamilton for 39.
Yeah, just when you say not many big plays, Kobe Hamilton runs it out and up, and they get Brandon Carr turned around, but yet it's still contested, and Hamilton has to go up and then make a play He's able to high point it. He hauls it in with strong hands, and a good start for the Steelers offense.
Ben Roethlisberger has always had a great touch on the deep ball. Does so many things well. That might be at the top of the list. 39 yards and now on first down. Play action, and that was a broken play. Back to the 39-yarder to Hamilton.
You see from the pocket, and when you run those types of routes, then you've got to have some time in the middle. And you see Roethlisberger with a good pocket and plenty of room there to be able to step up and lay it out there. And like I said, Kobe Hamilton, good coverage. And even with Brandon Carr getting his hand on the ball, he's able to haul it in. And so, you know, hey, Mike Tomlin talked about it this week that they wanted to see some guys other than Antonio Brown make plays, and now Hamilton, he gets into the action.
8 different receiver Roethlisberger's found today. 2nd and 9. Now down the far sideline. Pass is incomplete. Antonio Brown made the catch, but out of bounds. His hands, his athletic ability, just off the charts, and out of bounds.
Yeah, I think if Antonio Brown knew that he was that close, he would have been able to get his feet down, and I don't even know how Roethlisberger was able to give him a chance. Anthony Brown, the rookie, was in great position. Just a well-thrown ball, and they just miss on that one.
Probably on the outer edge of field goal range for Boswell. 3rd and 9.
What?
Roethlisberger airs it out again, and the pass incomplete but flags. Kobe Hamilton and Anthony Brown.
Not sure exactly who Roethlisberger was trying to throw the ball to. It didn't look like a catchable ball to me. They go after the rookie once again, Anthony Brown.
Pass interference. Defense, number 30. The ball he placed to the spot of the foul. First down, Pittsburgh.
You see Kobe Hamilton. He's expecting the ball on the outside. It's thrown way to the inside, and there's an inside receiver that was running up the field as well. And I don't think even without contact there that Kobe Hamilton was going to be able to make a play on the ball. You see Jason Garrett, he's trying to say that the ball was tipped.
I think it just slipped out of the hand of Roethlisberger on the throw. It came out kind of funky, and then the penalty flag for a 28-yard penalty. Pass, end zone, incomplete. Now Brown's looking for a flag. It's been a lot of Anthony Brown with Ben Roethlisberger going after number 30, who was upset that he got that 28-yard pass interference call against him. And here's another look.
There's another look at it, and maybe he has a chance. And then, you know, they get the penalty, they get the 28-yard gain. Kobe Hamilton, he goes after Brandon Carr, the first play, and hauls that one in. And ever since then, it's been deep shots on Anthony Brown.
Second and goal. Roethlisberger. Pass is nearly picked off on a tip. Eli Rogers off his hands and then to the turf in the end zone. 3rd and goal.
Tight throw in here, and you know, it's one that Eli Rogers has to be able to make a play on. But yeah, the Steelers are fortunate that down here in the red zone, a condensed area, when you miss high and the ball comes off the hands like it did, more times than not, that ball is intercepted.
Bell. Le'Veon Bell at the bottom of the screen. Brandon Carr across from him. 3rd and goal. Quick throw, pass, broken up. And it's 4th down. Steelers looking for a flag. They do not get it. Antonio Brown the target with Byron Jones in coverage.
Yeah, they worked the inside slant. They got slant on the outside to Le'Veon Bell, and there was hands there, and I agree with Antonio Brown. I think there should have been a call, but he also had Le'Veon Bell on the outside, who ran a really good route. He had a clean look for a touchdown, but I think the Cowboys got away with one.
Here's Boswell now, a 25-yard try. 2 for 3 on the afternoon/evening. And it's a 5-point game in Pittsburgh.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer.
Last night a party was put on by the Steelers, and Steeler Nation unite to recognize a group of fans for their dedication, support for the Pittsburgh Steelers. More than 500 fans in attendance, and the majority traveled from Mexico by plane and by bus. A kick into the end zone, and Lucky Whitehead will bring it out. Able to cross the 25. And a return of 30 yards in honor of Veterans Day. Watch this. For every point scored during the NFL's 32 salute to service games, the league will donate $1,000 to its military nonprofit partners, including the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. Join the salute and learn more. Visit NFL.com/salute.
Oh, that didn't look like much fun, John. Jumping out of that airplane.
But impressive. And now from the 26, here's Dak Prescott. Here's Elliott. And Elliott able to cross the 30, picked up 6. We're going to get into it at some point. But Tony Romo is getting healthier and healthier. However, it has been almost 1 full calendar year since he last played in a game that counted last Thanksgiving at home against Carolina, when he broke his left collarbone for the 2nd time last season. Obviously much better with Tony Romo, but that was done without Dak Prescott, who has taken the Cowboys to a 7-1 start and is putting up numbers that few have been able to in the history of this league as a rookie. Rookie tosses to another rookie, and Elliott is going to fight and get knocked down close to a first down for Dallas.
Well, it makes you wonder just, how short is the leash on Dak Prescott, when this team struggles or when he struggles. Does it happen if they don't win this game here tonight? I don't have the answer to that, but it's one that everyone is asking, and I think you raise a good point, Joe, that Tony Romo, I think a lot of people look at him and they think of the 2014 version, and granted, he didn't play very many games last year, but the ones that he did play, he didn't play particularly well. And then, of course, we know about the injury. So I'm as interested as anybody in seeing exactly what happens when Prescott hits that bump in the road.
Here's Elliott with a first down carry. The numbers for Romo are terrific. 78 and 49. But he's got just 2 wins on his postseason career, 2-4. He's thrown for over 33,000 yards. His winning percentage is tremendous regular season. He's also 36. And for the 14th year pro, he's got to work his way back into shape. On first down, Prescott out to his right. Dumps it off. First catch for Witten, who's out of bounds with a Dallas first down.
I think what we do know, Joe, is you talk to the players on this team, they love playing for number 4. And there's a chemistry and an energy with this club that you just don't see very often, and it's hard to capture. And I would be real careful, and I've said this throughout the season, that whatever may happen in a game, or when he hits, we all had him, as quarterbacks, that they got to be real smart with how they handle it, because there's a lot of guys in that locker room, 52 others, that have opinions on what they think should happen as well.
Here's Elliott with a nice carry on first down to the 45. Aaron Andrews.
And when you talk to guys like Sean Lee or Jason Witten, they all say these young players like Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are helping them feel young again. And the other thing Sean Lee told us the other day was, while they are goofing around and having a good time, they're very serious at practice, and that's something these veterans really appreciate as well.
2nd down and 4. Here's Elliott. Delays a bit. Forward progress is about a yard short of a 1st down. It's 3rd and 1. And just to finish on Dak Prescott, a guy who didn't run many huddles in college. Jason Witten, who by the way is probably Tony Romo's closest friend on the Cowboys team, said from day one when Prescott stepped in, he has commanded the huddle. He's friends to the defensive lineman, the long snapper, LP Ladouceur. You go across the team, this guy's got a relationship with every one of them, and they love him.
Yeah, and even last week when he had to show some leadership with Des Bryant, calm him down. Bryant came out after the fact and said he really appreciated the way Prescott handled it.
Here's Elliott. He is now 3 for 3 on 3rd and 1 in this game, and it's a 1st down for Dallas as they trail by 5.
You're going to see Ezekiel Elliott as he makes a guy miss right in the hole. Right there. You got a linebacker, Lawrence Timmons, who's unblocked and there to make a play, and I've been asked a lot here this year, you know, comparing Ezekiel Elliott to Emmitt Smith, and the one thing that I believe they have in common is they can make that first guy in the hole unblocked like we saw there, miss as well as anybody I've seen. Emmitt made a career out of it, and through 8 or 9 games now, Elliott is as well.
Prescott airs it out for Des Bryant, incomplete. And Prescott ends up on the ground as he was under pressure.
Well, Alfred Morris, he has to help in pass protection, but Prescott, he's got pressure right in his face. He knows he's going to get hit, tries to deliver the football, and a good route on the outside by Des Bryant, just a ball that sails on him due to the pressure. Ryan Shazier and James Harrison there to take him to the ground.
Here's Morris on 2nd and 10. Big 3rd down coming up for Dallas, a gain of 3. Meanwhile, the decision a little easier when Tony Romo's in a sweatshirt on the sideline. Likely will dress next week. Everybody's eyes on number 4 on 3rd down and 7. Timeout taken by the Steelers, who were moving around all over the place defensively on 3rd down and 7. So a timeout taken by Mike Tomlin. And before this 3rd and 7, we'll have a chance to bring you into the broadcast booth. As Prescott comes to the sideline, Joe Buck along with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, and as we just put a bow on the whole Tony Romo situation, is something that's not going to go away for the Dallas Cowboys. They have a guy who's a multiple-time Pro Bowler that's going to be the backup, it would appear. And I think at least initially, Tony Romo will and already has handled the situation about as good as he can while he's watched Dak Prescott surprise everybody in the NFL.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think Dak Prescott has handled it about as well as anybody could ask of him as well. And I think they kept waiting, thinking they wouldn't have to really make a declaration, but once Tony Romo suits up and he's on the sidelines as the backup, you can bet that, you know, that then is the decision.
3rd down and 7, blitz. Pass is caught, what a throw! Des Bryant and Dak Prescott threw that before Bryant was even close to coming out of his break. A 1st down.
Yeah, and Prescott, he's really not able to quite get settled. He knows there's pressure and he's got to lay it and give Bryant an opportunity, knowing exactly where he's going to be, and Bryant goes and gets it. That's an excellent job there converting. You see Ronald Leary, he's able to come off of that late and just help give a little more protection to Prescott.
Dallas chewing up some clock here. This one is off the right hand of Cole Beasley for an offense that has converted 3 3rd downs on this drive, trailing by 5, and all Ben can do is watch with the rest of us.
I think Beasley might have been He might have been happy that ball was high because there was a couple unblocked Steelers that were getting ready to unload on him.
This will be the 12th play of the drive. Cowboys lead the NFL in drives of 10 or more plays coming in.
We got Diamond. Diamond.
Just got it away. Pass caught. Des Bryant goes backward a bit. Lost a little forward progress, and Artie Burns, good to see him back in the game after leaving with injury in the first half. That completion good for 6.
Yeah, Artie Burns, that's really a nice play. Doesn't look like much, but that's a hard guy to get on the ground in the open field. We've seen him a number of times catch that ball, spin out of it, and not get tackled. And we'll see now what Scott Linehan. This is a drive that offensively they had struggled on 3rd down. They've converted a number of them here on this possession, and now faced with a 3rd and 4.
50 Boston.
Prescott is sacked back near the 30. To it. And Harrison.
Stephen to it, he goes through Zach Martin, who loses his footing, and he gets the inside pressure, and Prescott just not feeling James Harrison to his backside. He holds on to it thinking maybe he can escape. Harrison finishes him off.
46-yard try by Dan Bailey. And Bailey, good again. 3 for 3 in this game is number 5. And again, a 2-point Steeler lead. Small screen, stadium-sized content. Watch live local Sunday games on your smartphone with NFL Mobile. Good game in Pittsburgh. It's the 7-1 Dallas Cowboys against the 4-4 Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore comes in leading the AFC North. They beat Cleveland 28-7 on Thursday. Steelers trying to match the Ravens at 5-4, and Pittsburgh has 2 games remaining with winless Cleveland before the end of the season. Here's Toussaint. Fitzgerald, Toussaint gets to the edge, and a nice return out across the 30. Back to work, Big Ben. Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament. He'll be on the field when we come back up 2.
Today's game is sponsored by the all-new 2017 Ford Super Duty. This is the next level.
For Ben Roethlisberger, there's his day. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Antonio Brown, some tough catches, and Le'Veon Bell has a touchdown catch. 12 carries, 46 yards. Good game. Steelers up by 2. Here's Bell with Lee chasing him down and bringing him down from behind. Being a 4.
Well, see, they start off there with a run. You think back to that last possession by the Steelers. They went after Anthony Brown. They took their deep shots, and something that we're used to seeing from Roethlisberger over the years, being able to take advantage of some of those looks and see if they don't go after Anthony Brown again on this possession.
Call now.
This is the matchup right here.
Instead, they hand to Bell. Well played up front, and Bell just did a terrific job to turn it into a positive play, and then a big hit by J.J. Wilcox at the end. Hitchens initially in on the stop, and a gain of 3. 3rd and 3 coming up.
Well, we've seen Bell with some nice runs, some pretty nifty runs. He's got a 16-yard run, but really for the most part, Cowboys have got to be pretty pleased with the way they've handled the run game.
Yeah. Hey, 31. Hey, we base. Hey, slow down, man. You got him.
3rd down and 3. Roethlisberger brought down from behind. DeMarcus Lawrence.
Well, they had man-to-man, and Brandon Carr is in coverage on Antonio Brown, and there was just enough of a collision there that made Roethlisberger hold on to it more than he wanted. He wanted to just cut it loose and take a shot up the field, and as he comes off of Brown, DeMarcus Lawrence is there to make a play.
DeMarcus was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Here's a good punt. Driving Whitehead back. Little room to maneuver. And Lucky Whitehead to the sideline. Cuts it back. Still going. Got a big block, and the punter got smoked. It was Keith Smart with a block on Jordan Berry. And a return of 39 yards for Lucky Whitehead. His long of the season by plenty. Well played by the Dallas punt return team. And good starting field position, down 2. Jordan Berry got looked at on the sideline after getting a head-to-head hit after a 57-yard punt. Here's Ezekiel Elliott over the left side. The punt ends up just netting 18 yards because of the good return. And there's the hit. Smith, the big fullback, 41, into Jordan Berry.
Hey, those guys, those punters, they're not used to getting hit like that, obviously. And hey, give Jordan Berry some credit. He's got to get in there and try to make a play, and he did it. He took the punishment. I'm surprised no one's checking him out. Those guys don't recover well from those types of hits, but good job by him.
2nd and 3. Handoff to Morris. A yard short of a first down.
Well, we've seen Dallas now here on 1st and 2nd down come out and run the football, and I'd start to expect to see more of Ezekiel Elliott and more of Alfred Morris. And you know, through 2.5 quarters of this ball game, almost 3 quarters now, Cowboys have been throwing the ball more than running it. That's not atypical, but through the course of the game, this is when they start like to impose their will of pounding them with the run game. I'd expect to see that really unfold as we move through the remainder of the game.
Elliott gets it and picks it up again, but a flag comes in. And it's against Dallas.
Holding. Offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
That wipes away a first down as they call it against Ronald Leary.
Yeah, I think it was a good call, too. Leary's right there, 65. You see the grab there with the left arm on Daniel McCullers. That nullifies what would have been a first down for the Cowboys.
That's the 3rd offensive holding penalty called against Dallas, and you see the penalties are really piling up. 10 for 98 yards. Now 3rd and 11. This one downfield, pass caught, touchdown Des Bryant.
He knew it was about time for Des Bryant. It's one-on-one man coverage on the rookie with Artie Burns, and some contact down the field, but Prescott with pressure. They bring the inside linebacker blitz, and Prescott able to move just enough to his left and really throw a perfect ball. And Des Bryant bobbles it for a moment. He hauls it in. A big 3rd down conversion for 6 points.
Troy, that was 50 yards on 3rd down and 11. Set up by the punt return by Whitehead. And on America's Game of the Week, in this great interconference matchup, Cowboys, Steelers, Dallas up 5. Des Bryant gets the touchdown. One of the best things that you can say about Dak Prescott, the game has not been too fast for him. And he's been able to find the open guys opposite Des Bryant. Well, in this game, with people talking about that relationship all week long, Dak Prescott is able to find big number 88 for a 50-yard touchdown and a 5-point lead. Let's go back to it.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator, Keith Butler, he decides to bring pressure, so they're going to blitz these guys, and then the safety has to then work to the middle of the field. That allows one-on-one up top with the rookie Artie Burns on Dez Bryant, and a lot of times for a young quarterback, when you bring pressure, it cleans up the looks because you know you've got one-on-one, and Prescott's able to buy some time, and he lays a perfect throw to Dez Bryant, who is having a heck of a day. He's a guy who they've targeted a lot, has not always caught a lot of balls, but in this game, targeted 9 times, 6 catches, well over 100 yards receiving, none bigger than a 50-yard touchdown.
From the 25 now, a screen, low throw caught by Bell, and Bell got popped. Terrell McClain crashing down on it, a gain of just 3. Dak Prescott came into this game with only 1 completion of 50 or more yards in his rookie season. He has 3 total now. He's got 2, 1 in this first half to Ezekiel Elliott, and now the go-ahead touchdown to Dez Bryant.
Well, we talked about it earlier. There haven't been a lot of big plays in the passing game for the Cowboys this year. But boy, you get the running game going, and it kind of opened some things up for some one-on-one looks. That was, of course, 3rd and 11, but Keith Butler, he decided to bring pressure, try to get the ball out of the rookie's hands quick. He buys some time, and then you get exposed on the outside.
A medical timeout. Number 66 for Pittsburgh must go out for 1 play for medical situation.
Well, now David DeCastro, Pro Bowler from a year ago, is going to have to leave, and he has no say. They bring in B.J. Finney to take over at guard. And evidently either somebody on the field, one of the officials, saw something they didn't like on the part of David DeCastro, or the medical personnel up top, so he has to check out. And that's why. We showed you the replay going to commercial break as David DeCastro got a shot to the head, and now they look at DeCastro on the sideline. That blue-hatted man is an independent consultant to be there in the huddle and make sure that DeCastro is okay to continue after this play. 2nd and 7. Catch is made by Bell, and Bell is going to be wrestled down just short of a first down by Damian Wilson.
And here comes DeCastro back into the game.
So now 3rd down and 1. So he passed the tests on the sideline. They didn't have to take him into the dressing room. They get their Pro Bowler back.
Wow. A lot of confusion by the Steelers there. And
they have had 12 men on the field. Either way, it was a flag before the snap. We'll have to see what the call is from Clete Blakeman.
Yeah, we'll see how they sort this out. This could be a very costly penalty for the Steelers.
There is no foul for defense or offense having twin men on the field. They're in the process of substitution. Still 3rd down.
So because they blew the play dead before David Johnson could get off the field, there is no penalty. Jason Garrett doesn't like it, and it remains 3rd and inches.
Son! Butter! Hey, fine. Hey, 50. Yeah.
Son! Handoff is to Bell, and he's got the first down. Byron Jones on the tackle, and with that, we're through 3 quarters. Good game. 5-point Cowboy lead. Back after this from your local Fox station. Well, both star running backs have a receiving touchdown in this game, an 83-yarder to Ezekiel Elliott. 1 down and close to Le'Veon Bell. Good game. 5-point game starting the 4th quarter, and a toss to Brown, brought down by Lawrence, who also has the only Cowboys sack in this game. He had 8 a year ago to lead the team, and he's back and playing better after his 4-game suspension to start the year.
Yeah, it looked like DeMarcus Lawrence was just playing pass rush the entire way. He's up the field and not anticipating run, but that play, the Steelers are really fortunate that that's all that happened, because DeMarcus Lawrence, from where he was, a lot of bad things could have happened worse than what did for the Steelers.
A loss of 10, 2nd and 20. Pass is caught. That is Ladarius Green to bring up a more manageable 3rd down, as Green is good for 11.
That's all Roethlisberger was trying to get done there. You know, backed up on 2nd down, try to get enough yardage. Cowboys playing coverage to make it at least manageable at 3rd and 9.
Gain of 11, 3rd and 9.
What a job Rod Marinelli has done with his defense.
Yeah, Marinelli not a big blitz guy, and he likes to just rush forward, play coverage, and that's what it looks like he's going to do here on 3rd down.
3rd down and 9, underneath, pass caught by Bell, and he gets hit hard. Flag is down. J.J. Wilcox with another big hit. And the call is against Pittsburgh.
Illegal use of hands, offense number 77. That penalty declined, brings up 4th down.
It's against Marcus Gilbert, and J.J. Wilcox has been hitting hard.
Well, this is a huge hit by Wilcox. He comes in, and Le'Veon Bell, that's one of those that you're not sure the guy's going to get up. But when he first caught the ball, if he makes Byron Jones miss, it looked like he was going to be able to pick up the 1st down. Now you had the penalty on Marcus Gilbert, but J.J. Wilcox just levels him.
Playing in place of the injured Barry Church. Out with a broken forearm. Here's the punt. Last time we saw Jordan Berry, he got hit hard, and here he hangs one. On a good punt to the sideline, the Cowboys have the ball. 45-yard punt. They also have a 5-point lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Audi. See exceptional offers on select models during the Season of Audi sales event. And by Burger King. Now get 3 large pancakes for only 89 cents only at Burger King.
Dan Rooney's Cardinal Wuerl North Catholic Trojans lost their playoff game to Neshannock Lancers on Friday night. Mike Tomlin's son and Joey Porter's son both play on that team. Here's Elliott right side on 1st down. Told you Dan Rooney went there. The 84-year-old Hall of Famer, former ambassador to Ireland, 2009 to 2012 for President Obama. And there he is at North Catholic, a quarterback, the class of 1950. One of the class men in the history of the NFL.
Well, we don't get a chance to get to Pittsburgh often, but when we do, it sure is good to see Mr. Rooney, and we got a chance to see him on Friday. It means a lot to this league.
Prescott throws behind Witten, pass is caught. A yard shy of a 1st down as Timmons makes the tackle, a gain of 7. 3rd down and 1 coming up.
Big 3rd down here. And the Steelers overall have done a decent job on Ezekiel Elliott. He's averaging close to 5 yards a carry, but his longest run just 8 yards. That's saying a lot. Trying to keep him bottled up, and can they make a stop here on 3rd and 1? Give the ball back to their offense with a chance.
Late substitution for Dallas. They bring in an extra offensive lineman, Joe Looney. Play clock at 5. It's Elliott who cuts back and won't get it. Play made by Sean Davis, the rookie. And a good job by the 2nd-round pick out of Maryland. It's 4th down.
Yeah, one of those rookies who has contributed to this team and has gotten more playing time. He just shoots it. He's able to get in there, and 3rd and 1, you can't wait. You got to go, and he does, and that's an excellent job. He's going to come right in here, and he makes a play, and then of course Lawrence Timmons is there as well. But it's an outstanding job by this Pittsburgh defense to force a 3 and out.
Defense comes into this game 24th ranked in the NFL. Punt by Jones with Brown waiting inside the 35. Room Far side. Jones in his way, and the punter, Chris Jones, forced him out. After a 22-yard return by Antonio Brown. And great starting field position for the Steelers, who trail by 5. When it's counted the most, the Pittsburgh Steelers have defeated the Dallas Cowboys 2 times out of 3. Super Bowls of days gone by. Here's Bell. Only 57 yards in the second half for the Steelers on offense. Now 58. And let's go back to the punt coverage team and Lance Dunbar and Sammy Coates.
There's a lot that's allowed out there on the outside that doesn't draw a penalty. And let them maul each other on that play.
Second time the Steelers have started a drive in Cowboy territory. Did so on their first possession after the Prescott fumble. Quick throw. Brown with a blocker in front. The first down for Pittsburgh. And that was Eli Rogers who delivered the block. Tonight, if you really want to know what outrageous means, Fox Sunday is happy to give you a lesson. An all-new Fox Sunday tonight, starting at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Right here, and only on Fox.
Those Cowboys defense, they have their hands full. They give the ball to the Steelers in midfield and trying to stop this group. Not an easy task. Big first down there by Antonio Brown.
Here's Brown on the other side. Got around Byron Jones, but Brandon Carr is there for the stop, a gain of just 2.
You just see how dangerous he can be when you get the ball, quickly into his hands with a little bit of room, and get some good blocking on that second down catch on the previous play to pick it up. That time not much help, but he still was able to get at least a little bit.
This after a 22-yard punt return by Brown. Here he is again. Antonio out of bounds near the 10.
Well, it's a well-designed route by the Steelers, and they're able to get Antonio Brown into that little soft area in the zone just behind Leon McFadden. And because they run a receiver out to the flat just enough to help hold McFadden, it creates some space then for Antonio Brown to get in behind it.
Leon McFadden is in the game because Orlando Scandrick is out as they check him for a blow to the head. Quick throw, Jesse James down near the 1. Here's the hit that Orlando Scandrick took, and the Cowboys are really thin at corner now without Claiborne and Scandrick. McFadden was at it a week ago, and there's Orlando Scandrick. It's first and goal from the 1 as an extra offensive lineman, Chris Hubbard, comes in for Pittsburgh. Fullback Roosevelt Nix in there as well.
Hey, 5-5, yeah, 50. Right, 50. One of you.
Bell strings it out and takes it in. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. And they're going to go for 2 yet again. Here's the touchdown.
Well, just good tough running by Le'Veon Bell, and just enough. He's able to extend it for the touchdown. Great job, Pittsburgh. As you see, they lead with Nix at fullback. As you said, Hubbard, he's there to try to help. Cowboys had a shot, but Le'Veon Bell is just able to punch it through and finish off a drive that, as I said, started in midfield. Tough trying to hold this group back with that kind of field position to start this drive.
0 for 2 in this game. On a 2-point try, Bell at the top of the screen. This to make it a 3-point game. Roethlisberger just flips it, and incomplete. Toussaint flashed in front of Jesse James, and James may have been there to just catch it easily, and out of nowhere comes Toussaint, who can't make the play, and the lead is 1.
Today's game is sponsored by T-Mobile. Switch to the network built for unlimited data.
We'll show you the two-point try as the Steelers are now 0 for 3 on a two-point attempt in this game. They went for a two-point try their first time. You're always trying to get those points back. But when you don't convert, and the lead is only 1. Let's watch their last attempt. What a play by Roethlisberger. And watch 81. He ends up waiting for this floater that's about to land in his gut. And here comes Toussaint to take it away.
Had to save the day, and he didn't know that James was there who could have made a play on it. And you're right, Ben Roethlisberger does an excellent job, under pressure, giving his guy a chance. And Toussaint did see James there and tried to make a play, and as a result, they failed to come up with the points. I think your point is well made, that once you fail on the first two-point conversion, Tomlin's been kind of chasing those points ever since.
Here's Prescott on first down. Well protected, throws high to Lucky Whitehead, who hops out of bounds and then gets popped, and it'll be a 15-yard penalty on Ross Cockrell.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 31, 15 yards from the end of the run, first down, Dallas.
Well, that's the opposite sideline from the Steelers, so Mike Tomlin can't tell exactly what happened, but I think that was an easy call. He's out of bounds, and he gives him a shot.
That carries the ball all the way up to the 45. 20-yard gain on the play and the penalty. Hand off to Elliott. When we talked to Mike Tomlin, he said what Elliott does so well is as the game goes on, he wears out a defense, and specifically wears out defensive backs. The smaller guys that are trying to come in to make tackles, not so excited about it as the game goes on. So far, for the most part, with a high standard, he's been held in check.
Yeah, 72 yards, and those have been a tough 72 yards. He's had to fight and claw for every one of them.
Play action. Prescott now dumps it off to Elliott. First down and more. And the clock will continue to wind as Elliott with a catch and run of 12.
Just good patience by Prescott. It looked like he's trying to get the ball down the field. It's not there. He knows where his outlet receiver is with Elliott and drops it off to him. And these are the things you kind of learn as you kind of move through this league. But for Prescott, he shows great patience, and rarely does he force the ball. And you see the job that Tyron Smith trying to slow that guy down, James Harrison. That's a tough task.
Beasley, nice play by the rookie Sean Davis. No gain.
They haven't really been able to get Beasley going in this game today. He had been Prescott's favorite target coming into the game, and a guy who, whenever he went in his direction, he would catch the ball. Over 80% of the time when the ball was thrown to him, he would come down with a completion. He's had a couple drops, some missed opportunities, but Steelers have had answers for him.
Pass is gunned to Witten, who is spun around. They're going to mark Witten short of first down yardage by about half a yard, it looks like. We're going to get a measurement.
It's an excellent job by Prescott. Initially, he wants to go to Beasley, and you see the attention that Beasley draws, and Prescott comes off of that, immediately works back to Witten, for a nice completion to set up this 3rd and short.
Well, they're going to measure. It looks like he's a little bit short. Witten is pleading his case, saying he didn't get enough progress with that extra spin and reach. And it will be 3rd down and that much. They are inside field goal range, trailing by 1, and that's going through Jason Garrett's mind. If we don't pick it up,
I think what's going through his mind is we better pick it up and continue to take time off this clock and not give the ball back to Pittsburgh. I think everybody knows what Roethlisberger's capable of doing.
Ezekiel Elliott is 3 for 4 on 3rd down and 1 in this game. And it's less than 1.
Well, this defense is 6th best in the NFL coming into this game on 3rd and 1.
They give it to Elliott, and he's got it. Coming up on 4.5. And here's the fringe benefit, although it's probably more than a fringe benefit when you have the ground game that the Cowboys have, is you can eat up so much of the clock as they're in a position here down by just 1. Pittsburgh only 2 timeouts, and we're coming up on 4 minutes left.
Yeah, and if they do throw it, I would expect to see some high percentage, get the ball out quick, make sure you keep the clock running.
Pass over the middle. There's Beasley. He makes the catch in traffic. The clock will wind to under 4. Gain of 7.
Well, we talk about Elliott and all the things that he can do, catching the ball and running with the football, but for a young running back, those are the things that impress me right there. You just don't see that. The guy, that's what most running backs are not asked to do that in college. They really struggle with it. That ball that Prescott just threw, that is a little bit risky out away from Elliott over the middle of the field.
2nd and 3. Here is Elliott, dragged down. What a play by Shazier.
That's a great job by Shazier. Normally you're going to see the tandem block here, that you're going to get O'Leary off of that. He's not able to make a play. Ryan Shazier, he just sees an opening, the ball handed off to Elliott. He hits it. He's got great speed and quickness. He makes a huge play.
He can do everything in his 3rd game back from a knee injury. He can cover, he can play the run, he can blitz. There's not much more you need to do as a linebacker. 3rd and 8 now. Just got it off. Pass is caught. Witten. Monster first down as Jason Witten takes it inside the 15. And the rookie Prescott makes another strong throw.
Well, 3rd and long, Prescott, he knows where he's going to go, and that's Jason Witten. He has made a living on this option route in the middle of the field. He will soon be a Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires, and the route that he's known for most is that option route, and seemingly nobody can defense it. He pushes up, he's able to drive to the inside and then come out of the break, and when the ball's where it has to be, it's almost impossible to defense.
The Cowboys do not have to snap it before the 2-minute warning. You just can't emphasize how big that first down was. We're at the 2-minute warning. First down Dallas, down by 1. Those 2-point tries may come back to haunt the Steelers.
Today's game is sponsored by Subway. Try the classic Reuben stacked with corned beef. Limited time only.
Go back and take a look at that option route by Jason Witten here in the slot. Ryan Shazier, he's the one who's going to be asked to try to cover him. And you see how Garrett pushes up, or excuse me, Witten pushes up, but when he comes out of that, that ball's got to be perfectly placed as well. And that's the point in the ball game where a young player can get a little tight and not make the throw that has to be made. Dak Prescott, at a critical moment in this game, delivers a perfect ball.
Elliott starts right, cuts it upfield, touchdown Dallas. And you wonder wonder here with the score being what it is. First of all, Dallas is in a position where a 2-point conversion gives them a 7-point lead. Secondly, you wonder if the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't that dead set on stopping Elliott. Either way, their offense will get the ball back, and Dallas right now will go for the 2-point try.
Well, that's the right decision to try to make this a 7-point game. Now that the offensive line with Travis Frederick, and then the backside, Ron Leary, he makes a key block as well that opens up that hole for Ezekiel Elliott.
Cowboys have not attempted a 2-point try.
Keep an eye on Prescott. He has run the quarterback draw from here.
First 2-point try. Pass to Bryant, incomplete. And I'm going to say it again. The Dallas Cowboys were in a position to run the clock down and force the Steelers to use their timeouts. The touchdown makes it a 5-point lead, but the Steelers about to get it back. Ezekiel Elliott with a season high for scrimmage yards in a game, 177. He's got 2 touchdowns, now 1 on the ground. But the Pittsburgh Steelers about to get it back, and they will have the game in the hands of Ben Roethlisberger as they trail by 5. But a minute 55 and 2 timeouts. And the drive starts at the 25. Tomorrow night, National Geographic invites you to go to Mars. Join humankind's greatest adventure and find out how we made Mars home. The new series Mars premieres tomorrow night only on National Geographic. It's not Mars, but the moon hasn't been this close to us in 68 years. A super moon. A beautiful night in Pittsburgh. And how's this night going to end? With the Steelers snapping a 3-game losing streak, or the Dallas Cowboys making it 8 straight wins.
Hey, base.
Quick throw, Brown a little bit behind him with a nice catch. Short game. Clock winds, 2 timeouts. McFadden out there making the stop. Leon McFadden just added last week, former 3rd-round pick of Cleveland in 2013.
The Cowboys giving help to the outside, opens up the middle of the field.
And there it is for a first down, Ladarius Green.
Pass complete to Ladarius Green.
We'll talk about the touchdown with Elliott when we get the chance. Right now, after that 10-yard gain, with the safeties deep. First down for Pittsburgh. Here's Bell. A lot of room. Le'Veon Bell inside the 40. And a timeout taken by the Steelers.
Pretty nifty little play there by the Steelers. Le'Veon Bell, he's going to start to the outside, but then they put to Castro. He leads the way to block and bring Le'Veon Bell then underneath that. That's close because he can't be down the field making a block prior to the ball being caught, and he makes a hit. It's got to be at the line of scrimmage. So that was one that the Steelers could have been called on. But that's what freed Le'Veon Bell up for the big game.
And again, first play after the 2-minute warning with 2 timeouts left. The Steelers on defense saw Ezekiel Elliott just carry it in almost untouched. It does make the deficit 5, but it gives number 7 a chance to answer.
Yes. I'm with you all.
In a game that's had 5 lead changes. Pass caught. Jesse James, a hurdle to the 15.
Well, they got the Cowboys that time. They've been throwing that wide receiver screen to Antonio Brown so often, and then they got it in behind him.
Here's a fake spike. Brown, touchdown, Pittsburgh. Shades of Marino.
Go back and take a look at the previous play prior to that one for the touchdown. They've been throwing it out wide to Antonio Brown. This time they sneak James, looking like he's going to block. They get the gain there. They come back, they fake the spike. Antonio Brown one-on-one outside on Leon McFadden.
What a throw by Roethlisberger, and the Pittsburgh native Dan Marino is the first, or at least the last, we saw do that. And Ben Roethlisberger faked the spike and then dropped in a beauty. And for the 4th time, the Steelers will go for 2.
Another big 2-point conversion play here to build it to a 3-point lead.
Time left for Dallas, by the way. And the takeaway, and now Carr on the return. And a flag comes in at the end of it. But only a score there really means anything. And how about Ben Roethlisberger, 5 for 5 on that go-ahead touchdown drive.
There is no foul for a low block on the play. The runner was the ball carrier, so it was legal. The PAT is no good.
So 0 for 4, trying for 2 tonight, and with all those misses, a field goal for Dallas wins the game. Here's lead change number 6.
This is just a great veteran move. You know, it's something that they talk about during the week, they work on, and Antonio Brown, he knew what was coming. He takes off running. That just wasn't by chance, and it's an excellent job.
You see DeMarcus Lawrence just stand up. They weren't ready for that at all.
No, that's what happens so many times. You get into a routine, and the Steelers are able to take advantage of it. But how about the afternoon that Ben Roethlisberger has had? And the last couple of weeks that he has played have been a little bit tough, coming off a very tough outing last week against the Baltimore Ravens. And he's a different guy. You talk to anybody who's followed this team when he's at home, and you never bet against him. He's a terrific player, has had a great career, and he delivered when they needed him right now.
Well, now let's swing it back to the other side. 3 timeouts left. At the moment, 42 seconds left for the rookie, Dak Prescott. This Cowboys defense came in as one of just 2 teams not to allow more than 23 points this season. Along with the Vikings, Steelers have put up 30.
Well, Dak Prescott has some things working in his favor. I mean, first of all, they have all 3 of their timeouts, and he's got Dan Bailey over on the sidelines. His longest field goal is 56 yards, but I don't think anybody really knows what his range is. I mean, this guy can boot it. And that's a little different here than it is Cowboys Stadium.
The drive will start at the 25. If you're just tuning into this game, you've missed a lot. Dak Prescott with another impressive day for the rookie. Ben Roethlisberger, about 3 weeks removed from left knee surgery, just phenomenal. And the Steelers went for 2 early on their first touchdown of the game. They've been chasing those points ever since. 0 for 4 on 2-point tries, and because of all that, this is just a 1-point Pittsburgh lead. Here's Prescott. Throwing with his momentum, carrying him back toward his own end zone, and low for Witten. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that's one of those where Cowboys are happy that that was incomplete. If he makes that catch, he's going to get tackled pretty much right on the spot. They would have been having to burn one of their timeouts. Des Bryant, he's drawing some attention right now. They got 2 guys locked up on him. I can't imagine that they're going to give him a one-on-one look, but right now.
Prescott fires, has got Beasley. Beasley had the first down and may have given it up. Looks like enough progress is given for a fresh set, and a timeout taken by Dallas. Let's give you a video recap. Ezekiel Elliott with an 83-yard touchdown catch and run on a screen. A 50-yarder to Des Bryant on 3rd down and 11. And the Cowboys were celebrating. Le'Veon Bell has had a 2-touchdown game, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. And then Ezekiel Elliott just walked in. A first play after the 2-minute warning. And that gave Big Ben a chance to do that. Go down the field, perfect on the drive. And the touchdown to Brown for a 1-point lead. Prescott now on first down. Pass is caught by Witten. And Witten has got another first down, and with 23 seconds left, Dallas takes their second timeout. In case you're wondering, Troy talked about the career long for Bailey. 56 yards, that would mean taking it to the 38-yard line, but nothing is a given in this stadium. And on the previous play, this officiating crew missed that face mask call on the part of William Gay against Cole Beasley, turning his helmet entirely around, and that would have been a free 15 yards.
Free 15 yards, yeah, that's obviously huge from where that ball was caught.
In case you're wondering what kind of a game it's been, no NFL game this season has had 7 lead changes. We're at 6. If we get to 7, the Cowboys will take the lead, and that purple line would be the outer edge of field goal range for Bailey. First down. 1 timeout. Prescott throws, pass is caught, and Witten stays on his feet, and a flag is thrown at the end of it. And let's see what this call could be. If it's a face mask, this would be huge.
Not sure what it looks like there. They missed the one on Beasley, but it looks like they're going to get this one on Sean Davis. And
personal foul, grabbing the face mask. Wow. Defense number 31, 15-yard penalty, first down Dallas.
And maybe as importantly, it saves a timeout.
And Witten was already stood up. I mean, he really was not going anywhere. This was a team that was penalized a lot in that loss last week, and none more costly in this game than that one.
Last week it was 13 penalties against the Ravens for Mike Tomlin's team. This is a big one here.
They're in Dan Bailey's range right now.
Four penalties for 40 yards in this one, a big 15 yards here. It's Elliott. Elliott for the touchdown. No flags. Cowboys lead. 9 seconds left.
The all-pro left tackle, Tyron Smith, and then Gavin Escobar. He makes the block. You see the lane right there, and it's good night, Irene.
There was 1 second left on the play clock when this ball was snapped. And that rookie combination of Prescott and Elliott. What a game for Elliott. 209 yards from scrimmage, 3 touchdowns. And there's lead change number 7.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they knew they were within Dan Bailey's range right there. I think Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan just said, we're going to run the ball, see what we can get, use our timeout, kick the game winner. And Ezekiel Elliott with some great blocking up front goes all the way.
This will be the 6th 2-point try of this game. And the final timeout is taken by Dallas with the play clock winding down after the celebration. 6 2-point tries, and none of them have been good. 0 for 5 so far, 4 by Pittsburgh. And here's the touchdown. I mean, untouched, like his previous one on the backside of the 2-minute warning. This is an unbelievable run by an organization that hasn't won 8 straight games within a season since the Super Bowl champion 1977 version with the rookie Dorsett getting the ball from Staubach.
What do you think? You think Dak Prescott's going to be the quarterback next week?
Yeah, I think so. Crawl out on the limb. There are 9 seconds remaining. The clock will now run on the 2-point try. And 0 for 6 combined. Des Bryant, the target. The OT presented by Lowe's is coming up. Plenty to talk about. Artie Burns, by the way, was defending on Des Bryant. You could do an entire OT on this game alone, let alone what happened in the Chiefs win and the Denver Broncos win. Crazy day here, week 10 across the NFL. 9 seconds left. Pittsburgh with a timeout. In a game the Steelers desperately wanted coming in. They're in danger of dropping their 4th in a row to go to under 500. And Pittsburgh is coming off a loss at Baltimore, and they have a home game against the Ravens in week 16, while the Cowboys are trying to get to 8-1.
Well, we'll see what happens here with 9 seconds to play, but they all hurt. This one hurts especially if you're the Steelers and you're able to come back and Roethlisberger mounts a go-ahead drive, and with under a minute to play, up against a rookie quarterback, and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and those things just are not supposed to happen to a Steelers defense.
There will be 7 games left for the Cowboys after this game. Ezekiel Elliott is already over 1,000 rushing yards for the season. Here's Bailey with a line drive kick into the end zone, so no time comes off the clock. The NFL rookie rushing record belongs to Eric Dickerson with 1,808 with the 1983 LA Rams, and that is well within the range considering how this season has gone for Ezekiel Elliott. To try to, Troy, not only set that record, but he is one of, if not the front runner right now in the MVP talk. Forget rookie of the year.
Yeah, no question. It's a short list, but he's right there on it.
Underneath, it's Brown in a 5-point game. 1 timeout. The Steelers will use it with 2 seconds left.
Of course, a lot of discussion when they drafted Ezekiel Elliott, whether or not that was the right pick.
You're right. It's worth bringing up, and Jerry Jones deserves credit for that one, pulling the trigger. There were some who thought that was a reach to take a running back 4th overall. But according to Mike Tomlin, he said, I haven't seen somebody coming out of college like Ezekiel Elliott since Adrian Peterson and Marshawn Lynch.
Mike Tomlin loved him. They love him in Dallas too.
The Cowboys have 7 guys back near the end zone. 2 seconds left. Here's Brown, can pad his stats, but he's got to get into the end zone, and it will not happen. The Dallas Cowboys have won 8 in a row. And that rookie backfield of Prescott and Elliott has the Cowboys on top in the NFC East at 8-1. Jason Garrett in his 6th full year as the head man with Dallas. He's never been a part of a run like this in the NFL. The OT presented by Lowe's coming up. America's Game of the Week. What a ride it was in Pittsburgh.